Hi, everyone, and welcome to EasyTalk English. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Eric. We're so happy you're here with us today. On this podcast, we make learning English fun, clear, and practical.
Today's topic is one we hear all the time. I can understand English, but I can't speak it. Does that sound like you?
If it does, don't worry. It's a common challenge for English learners, and today we'll explain why it happens and give you some tips to improve.
By the end of this episode, you'll have tools to start speaking more confidently. Let's get started.
First, let's talk about why it's easier to understand English than to speak it. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, when we listen, we don't need to create the sentences ourselves. We just recognize words and meaning. But speaking is active. You need to think of the right words, grammar, and pronunciation, all at the same time.
Exactly. It's like riding a bike for the first time. At first, it feels impossible, but with practice, it becomes natural.
So, how can you get better at speaking? Here's tip number 1. Start with short, simple sentences.
That's a great idea. For example, instead of trying to say, I would like to order a large coffee with almond milk, start with, I want coffee, please. It's okay to keep it simple.
Let's practice that together. I'll say a phrase and you repeat after me. Ready? I want coffee, please.
Great. Now, tip number 2, practice speaking every day, even if you're alone.
Talking to yourself is actually a great way to practice. For example, you can describe what you're doing. I am brushing my teeth. Now I am eating breakfast.
Let's try that. Imagine you're making a sandwich. What would you say? Here's an example. I am spreading butter. Now I'm adding cheese.
Fantastic. Another tip is to use phrases you already know. Memorize common sentences so they become automatic.
For example, how are you? Or can you help me? Let's practice some now. Andrea, ask me a question.
Sure, what's your name?
My name is Eric. Your turn, listeners. Answer this question. What's your name?
Great job. Now, here's tip number 3. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That's so important. Mistakes are part of learning. Even native speakers make mistakes.
True. And most people will understand you, even if your sentence isn't perfect. For example, instead of saying, I am looking for a pharmacy, you might say, I look pharmacy. It's okay. People will still understand.
Let's make it fun. Here's a short quiz. Fill in the blank. I blah 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 wants to go to the park.
Did you say, I want to go to the park? If you did, great job. If not, don't worry. Keep practicing.
And finally, here's a cultural tip. In English-speaking countries, people often use small talk to start conversations. For example, they might say, nice weather today, or how's it going?
Practicing small talk is a great way to feel more comfortable speaking. Try it with a friend or even a stranger in a safe setting.
Let's recap today's lesson. If you can understand English but can't speak it yet, remember these tips.
1. Start with short, simple sentences. 2. Practice speaking every day, even if you're alone. 3. Use phrases you already know. 4. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And 5. Practice small talk.
Speaking takes time, but every little step counts. Be patient with yourself and keep going.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope this episode helps you feel more confident about speaking English.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend, leave us a review, or follow us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget to practice what you learned today. In our next episode, we'll talk about how to improve your English listening skills. See you next time.
Bye for now and happy learning.